Hello everyone! Magandang hapon po, magandang gabi, magandang umaga wherever you are. My name is Marilag Dimatulak and I am the organizer of Azure User Group Manila. And our aim here is to help upskill our Filipino community on Azure and the cloud platform. I'm really quite excited and happy to be back. So I've been on a holiday for 2 weeks. And then I spent the first week of January 2021 trying to recalibrate my schedule so that I'm going to be up and productive on the cloud this year. And I'm really excited to host a great talk prepared by my friend, Miss Jonah Andersson. But before anything else, I just want to ask everyone to help me grow the community by following us on Twitter. You can see that on the screen. And then we also have a Meetup group and Facebook group and a YouTube channel. And you can just search for Azure User Group Manila. And I really want to ask your help also to find some volunteers, or maybe if you have any topic around Azure that you want to share to your community. We're also open for volunteer speakers. And if you're a company looking to also help the community, we're also open for sponsorship. Thank you very much for coming today. And now I'm gonna invite my friend here who's been working really hard to give us a great talk today, the first talk of 2021. Hello, Jonah.
Hi, Marilag, and hi, everyone who are watching live today. And I hope you had a great holidays and had a great New Year to start. And I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Jonah is in Sweden and I'm in Denmark right now. And we were just talking earlier before the live about how we really missed spending the holidays in the Philippines. So actually this New Year, I prepared a Filipino-inspired New Year feast. I cannot do that for Christmas because the Danes, they're very particular with their Christmas food, and I also love it. So I have to wait until New Year. So, what about you, Jonah? Did you cook up any Filipino food for the holidays?
Actually, I had like a pre-Christmas Filipino lunch with a friend. A friend came over here, and we ate bagoong, fried fish, and sinigang, and all the typical Filipino. Just, and then I had to eat the traditional way, like because I miss eating per hand without utensils.
Yeah, no, I actually discovered the first Filipino restaurant here in Copenhagen. It was so good. It was really so good. It's a shame that the restaurants are currently closed right now. Otherwise, I would have been there every week. And
Yeah,
but I cooked. I not cooked. I baked pandesal. That's what I missed. So I woke up one morning like, let's make pandesal.
I like pandesal, but it's good to from time to time we Filipinos that lives in outside the Philippines, nakakamiss yung is eating Filipino food, and when you eat Filipino food with other Filipinos or Filipinas, it's like extra special because it's more fun.
Yeah, it's not the same. So like this New Year, first time kong magluto ng leche flan, and then I cannot find yung what do you call it, lianera na makapal. So meron lang ako yung parang nakahanap lang ako ng manipis na lianera. And then it turned out to be leche pancake or something. But so good. But then I was the only one who's really appreciating it, and of course my kids. But the rest of it think, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like making leche flan too. It's good.
Yeah, it's my favorite. Oh, we have some of our friends here are greeting us. Good morning, John. Good morning, Johan. And good morning, Mark. Thank you very much for joining us today. And yeah, so we have a lot in store for you, Jonah. You prepared really well. And then before I forget, we have a quiz at the end of the show. So, Jonah, you prepared some questions, right?
Yeah. I just to keep our viewers engaged, I prepared 3 questions related to the topic that we'll be sharing, Azure Virtual Machines, and then those who the first winner or the first person who answers every question, they will get like 300 pesos mobile load from us. And you can just send your mobile number to Marilag or me, so we can send that within 24 hours.
All right. And then for me, if you ask some questions to Jonah at the end of the session as well, we will probably pick our favorite question, or I'll let Jonah pick the favorite question. And then you also get a chance to win some goodies from Azure User Group Manila. I have some really good mask with super cute branding from Azure User Group Manila. So I can give that away. All right.
Yeah,
So should we start, Jonah? I'll give you the stage and let you share your screen.
sure. Let's see. Can you see my screen now? Let's see.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay, let's see. Share screen. So, how about now?
Yep, that looks good.
Okay. So let me start. Hi, everyone. Thank you again for tuning into our meetup today at Azure User Group Manila. I hope you're having a good evening or good lunch today. Today I will be talking about Azure Virtual Machines, the basic overview about it, and an example on how to create and deploy virtual machines to the cloud. Let me introduce myself. I'm a software developer. I'm also a Filipina working and living in Sweden for 9 years now. And currently, I work as a software developer at Forefront Consulting. It's an IT consulting company in Sweden. I code full stack, and I really like coding Azure and also coding or working with customers in mind because of my call center or technical support experience in the Philippines. And I also like continuous learning. Like I see daily as an opportunity to learn new things, especially in programming to the cloud, like in Azure. And personally, I have if I don't code, I like reading books, I play chess, I like gardening, like gardening from seeds to plants, a bit of photography, cooking, and training my Malinois dog uh, during my free time. So today I will be discussing about these things. First, I will go through an overview of virtualization as an introduction to Azure Virtual Machines and some basic of Azure Virtual Machines, and then things to consider on provisioning Azure Virtual Machines, different ways how to provision it, some demo in Azure Portal and in .NET Core with a code, and we're gonna do a Q&A questions at the end. And you can also ask questions if there's any live on the chat. So I will start by giving an introduction to virtualization technology. So virtualization is a technique that enables us to create virtual resources on a single virtual machine, physical instance. Instead of having a physical machine, you virtualized it virtually, and that's because of the technology that we have today. It's made possible to do this. Azure, for example, or any cloud computing technology uses virtualization that makes it easier for us to run things in the cloud. For example, an app service is actually is a virtualization technology. At the back of a app service, there is virtualization and networking in the background that our Azure provider is taking care of. And then, why do we need to virtualize? We need to virtualization is useful to if you want to migrate and access information from a different location compared to if you have a computer, a physical computer, and it's not virtual. It would be hard to, for example, upgrade the servers or upgrade the storage if you have physical machines. So virtualization makes it easier, efficient, and flexible. And then you can also use virtualization to isolate virtual servers for security and resistant changes. And as an overview, without going deeper on each of them, there are four types of virtualization. It's virtualization of servers, just like, for example, when you virtualize your SQL database server or your web server, as well as your dev or test environment. And then you can also virtualize operating systems like Linux, Red Hat Linux, and Windows Server data centers. And then storage virtualization means that you can save your storage through a virtual machine. So you can have your database in one server and one a web app in the web server separation. And then software virtualization is when you install software in your virtual machines for your applications. So what is really a virtual machines? It's a short for VM. It's a software emulation for physical computers, and it's pretty popular today, especially in cloud development. VMs can host an operating system. You can have your database in virtual machines, and it works like a normal computer. But the advantage of virtual machines is that you can have a virtual machines that you can access through RDP or remote desktop protocol. But you in the virtual machines, you can have machines in that too installed with different IP address and networking configurations. And one of the most common way to administrate or to access virtual machines is through RDP client or remote desktop protocol client. And depending on the type of virtual image that you use, you need to, for example, if you create a Linux virtual machine, then you would need to access it using SSH or a different way. Okay, so what are the components of virtual machines? So first we have the image. The image includes the type of virtualized operating system that you want. In Azure Marketplace, there are a lot of them. And the most common one are Linux operating systems, Windows OS, and Windows Server images. And depending on what kind of image that you have, you can choose it on the marketplace. And then there's also a network. Network includes the networking configuration of our virtual machines. It is required to make a virtualization. So network includes the network card, interface card, the IP address, the subnet vNetwork, and the public IP address that you use to access the virtual machines. And then there's also storage. That storage is used to save data, files, and also the operating system itself. And also in Azure, storage is used to store the data for diagnostics on your virtual machines. So these are the three major parts of virtual machines. And to introduce virtual machines in the cloud, especially in Azure, as you can see, it's in the compute category service, Azure Compute Service, and it's an infrastructure as a service. So it can be used, virtual machines are used to for the development, test, and creating apps in the cloud, as well as extending your data center. So infrastructure as a service, many of you definitely have seen this. Um, uh, Virtual machine belongs to the infrastructure as a service, and as you can see, as here, the dark blue, it's Azure that take cares of the virtualization, server, storage, and networking. That's why when you set up a virtual machines in Azure, you need to set up the configuration and choose the resource group. And here, the light blue one, it's a V, as the administrator or developers should manage or take care. But the advantage between the platform as a service and infrastructure as a service is that in platform infrastructure as a service, you have the ability to control more of your system compared to platform as a service, because it's the uh, Azure provider that take cares of this one, the runtime, the middleware. But if you want to have more control on runtime, middleware, and OS, then it's good to choose infrastructure as a service. So when you choose Azure virtual machines as your solution for your applications, it is very important to choose which type of Azure virtual machines that you use. So there are different categories for Azure VM types, and depending on your need, you choose the appropriate one. For example, if you want to just have virtual machines for testing and development, and you don't have a very big database, then you can use the general purpose uh, type of virtual machines. And in every category, there are different types. So each of them have different pricing tiers. So it's important to choose the right one. And then here, there's compute optimize, memory optimize, storage optimize, and GPU. And GPU is special for those if you have a lot of graphics and virtualization workloads that you need to have in the VM. And then the super high performance is it's a super powerful VM. So there are detailed description on this on the Microsoft documentation, so that you can check later. And there's also a service called related to Azure Compute. It's called Azure Virtual Machine Scale Sets. It's if you need more than one virtual machines, like you need a group of virtual machines, then it's worth checking out Azure Virtual Machine Scale Sets, because it supports auto scaling too. A normal virtual machine in Azure you can also scale it up and scale it down, the memory, the processor, and the type of hard disk that you want in the normal Azure virtual machines. But machine scale sets are good if you have multiple VMs and you want your VMs to like auto scale depending on the workload that you have in each machine. And it's also recommended to be in building large scale services, for example, big data or container workloads. I personally haven't worked worked on Azure Virtual Machine scale sets, but it is worth checking if you have a need for multiple virtual machines. And what are the things that we need to consider before provisioning virtual machines to the cloud? First, we need to decide the name of the resources, the application resources that you want in your Azure VM project. And then the resource location is also important for the processes and the speed of your services. So if you are located, for example, I am in Sweden and I need to set up a virtual machine, it's ideal to set up set up the location of my resources within Europe, like North Europe or West Europe, and not in Asia, for example, because it will affect. And there are other options for backups and things, depending on how you want to set it up. But it's resource location is important. And then the VM size also is an important factor to think of. How big how huge you want the storage and the processors and the hard disk, and then the limits. Azure allows us to set up, I believe, 20 virtual machines per region. And if you want to increase the virtual machines in your region for your resource location, you can contact Azure support for that. But you can create a lot of virtual machines in Azure through the portal. And you also need to choose what kind of virtual machines, image or operating system that you need to have. For example, many actually prefers using Linux, I believe, because it's cheaper, and it's also open source. So it's worth checking what kind of images you have. I know that in Azure Marketplace, you can also choose to have other third-party images like OpenVPN if you want to create an application where you can connect your virtual machines with VPN, OpenVPN. You can also do that. And you have to decide what configuration you want for the virtual machine when it starts. So it's also a thing to consider. And VM needs, the virtual machine needs what your virtual machine needs during when it's up and running. Like, for example, do you need to install virus protection in that, or if you need to have VM extensions for your automatic deployments. And for example, installing IaaS server for your web apps, and then storage account to store your diagnostics, and also your setup for your virtual network or network interface. So those are the major important things to check before you start creating it. And I would like to share about Azure Virtual Machine states, because it is very important, especially for the charges in the cost, the monthly cost of Azure Virtual Machine. So you cannot just create an Azure Virtual Machines. For example, when we as a developer, we create a service in Azure, for example, Azure Virtual Machines, and sometimes we forget to stop the service, and we know that every month comes the bill. So it is, if you're just testing, so it's a good to know the basic of the state of your machine, because there's a special state in which you will have a cost, and sometimes you get this cost and you're not aware of it. So there are 6 state for Azure Virtual Machine. So starting is when your VM is being started, as the word explains itself. And when the virtual machine is running, then it's running, and then stopping when you're stopping it, stopped, deallocating, and deallocated. So the most important state here is actually deallocated, because when you just stop the virtual machine, it doesn't really stop your charges. It still incur charges. So for example, if you're just trying to test how to publish or deploy a virtual machines and you forget to stop, your bill in Azure will still be running. There will still be charges for Azure Compute in your subscription. So to make sure that there's no charges incurred, if you know that you're not going to use your VM for a certain time, then you can make sure that it is deallocated, or if you're just testing, you can delete the services in your resource group to make sure. And this is very important because I experienced just testing one time, and I experienced setting up Linux virtual machines, and something I got interrupted and I forgot to stop it, so I got like a 900 crowns bill in my personal Azure account. So it's very important. This is based on experience. And here, make sure that your VM state is deallocated, and you can do that by going to the Azure portal, or using the Azure CLI to deallocate your virtual machines. So there are a lot of ways, or several ways, how to provision or deploy Azure virtual machines. The easiest one is through the Azure portal. It's easy. You just select the service Azure Virtual Machines and follow through the steps. It's a click options. I will show you later how to do that on the demo. And you can also do it using the Azure CLI, PowerShell, and the Cloud Shell on the browser in Azure portal itself. And then if you can also programmatically deploy virtual machines using REST API or C#. And most of all, you can also do that using ARM templates if you want to set up Azure pipelines or continuous delivery or deployment in your Azure DevOps, for example. So in the Azure portal, you choose a virtual machine image. It's important that you have an Azure subscription. And the first thing that needs to be done too is a resource group where you want to place your Azure virtual machines, and then choosing the desk type, encryption type, resource location, VM size, and the login. This means that who will be your virtual machine administrator. And then when you're logged in your virtual machine, you can choose to add other users and set it up like a normal machine, like a normal computer. You can add other users in that too, and install things that you need for your infrastructure. VM sizes, there are also a lot of them. There are about 122 sizes as of date available to choose from, depending on the type of memory or things that you need here. So it's actually the same as what I shared earlier, VM types and VM types and VM sizes. So there are about 122, and depending on what you need, you can choose in any of them. And the most common one is the general purpose one for normal low to medium traffic. And let's see, next is there are different there are different types of these types also. This is the standard HDD, the standard SSD, and the premium SSD. So standard HDD, that's ideal for backup and non-critical infrequent access to your operating system or your virtual machine. And then there's also the standard SSD. That's ideal for web servers, lightly used enterprise application and also for dev and test environments. And then premium SSD, it's the highest this type. That's ideal for production environment and production use for performance and sensitive workloads. And encryption types are also important in configuring your Azure virtual machines. The default in Azure is the platform managed keys, in which it is all managed disks and images are written to existing platform. It's with platform managed keys. And then customer managed keys gives you control over the keys, including bring your own keys support, and it allows you to generate new ones. And if you have customers or your applications requires security and intensive check on the encryptions, then you can choose the double encryptions at rest alternative for the type. And next is networking, which is a thing that needs to be set up in creating a virtual machine. So you can choose to create a new one, set it up yourself with the ideal name, and then subnet mask, and then the IP address, public IP address, or the public or private IP address. And you need to select the selected port that are allowed for public inbound. For example, you want to allow RDP with port number 3389 for remote desktop protocol access. And also you need to allow a port 80 for accessing it over the internet. So why do we need to consider programmatically deploying VMs or creating VMs and not just like, why should we do that and not just do it the easier way in Azure? Sometimes we need to consider programmatically deploying VMs because of deployment consistency. So if you have continuous integration or you want to automatically deploy VMs, so it's good to do it programmatically using ARM templates. And you don't want to, if you want to duplicate or clone or create similar VMs for dev or test environments, so you can just program or create a code, a console app code to deploy your VMs or use the ARM template for that. And in Azure, there's a service called Azure Dev Test Labs that allows you to create virtual machines temporarily, and then just delete that instance after you have used it. So I don't want to, I'm not going into details of that, but if you are interested to learn more about Dev Test Labs, there's more info about that, and it's really good if you are just temporarily using it for VMs for different dev test environments. And then we want to programmatically deploy Azure VMs because it is sustainable, faster, and effective. So if we know that we're going to create, for example, a Windows data center again in 1 month, then it's good to programmatically reuse that. And just like our principle in programming, that the dry principle, do you prefer to write it every time you need it, or do you want to create something and you don't want to repeat yourself principle? So there are different reasons. There are different ways how to do that. Why we should do that, and there are also reasons why we should consider app service, because you can choose between Azure virtual machines and app service too. So it depends on your needs. And to create Azure virtual machines, there are ways for that. For example, in Azure CLI, first you need to create a resource group and choose the resource location. And then next you create the virtual machine in your user group with the name and your desired image. In this example, I was creating Windows Data Center 2019, and then here you set up your username and password here, and then on the right side, this is an example on how you can create a virtual machine, for example, a Linux, Ubuntu Linux image. And you set up your authentication type if you create a Linux virtual machine, and then also your SSS key value. And then you also need to allow ports to be open to allow inbound traffic or inbound access to your virtual machine. So that includes allowing RDP port 3389, and it's also in this is for the Windows and this is for Linux. You don't need to do that here in Linux. And then to check after you open the port, you need to check what is your public IP address. That public IP address is the IP address that you're gonna use to remote desktop your virtual machine. So if you want to see the list, you can use this command acvm list IP addresses and which resource group and the name of your virtual machine. And in PowerShell, if you want to create an Azure virtual machine in PowerShell, you can just create a new user group location. And then this is the command for that, a command example, a resource group name, the name of your virtual machine, the resource location. And then you need to set up the name of your VNet or your virtual network subnet. And also it's very important to set up network security group or NSG in your virtual machine, and it's required to protect your any access in your virtual machine. So this is important, and you connect it using your Azure AD. So if you forget to set this up, you won't be able to connect or access your VM. You maybe can create it, but you will get errors when you try to remote RDP it, and also open the ports. So there are you can read the documentations about the common command line for PowerShell in this linked, or you can also Google it. Here is an example also for an ARM template. If you want to create it through an ARM template, there's a default schema for deployment template for Azure VMs. There are different ones for a resource group deployment. You use this template. This is also this link is available on the documentation too. There's also a subscription deployments. You use that template, and then you add the template in the schema, and then you fill in the variables or functions and other parameters that it requires. I can show you an example of a complete ARM template later on the demo if our time permits. Okay, it's actually demo time. Okay, let's do that. Let's see. Okay, I hope you're still there. Okay. So let's see. So I will be creating a quick start Azure VM. I hope you can see my screen now. You select a virtual machine in your Azure portal. So, and you choose your resource group. For example, name this. And I want to set my location to Europe because I'm in Sweden, that's nearest to me. And availability option, I set it as a default right now. And then I want to have, for example, here are the example images that you can choose, but there are more in Azure Marketplace. I want to have a 2019 data center, and then I just choose that one for demo purposes. And then I click admin, DM admin, for example, and then this password. Okay, I need to choose a good password. Let's see. Right. Mhm. Here, and then I'm for inbound ports, I am allowing RDP 3389, and then review, create. It's thinking. It's very quiet on my side right now while waiting. Let's see. Okay. This should only take a few minutes. Right. It's still in progress. I'm sorry, it's taking time. Should be done soon.
Hi, Jonah. I think we can chit chat a little bit while we're waiting for
Yeah, that's
this
right.
to
I was thinking I should. I was thinking to do multitasking and show them the code, but I don't want. I want to do things one at a time.
Yeah, otherwise you both have to switch between the
Yeah,
screens. But maybe I'm actually curious. Does it take the
yeah.
same time to provision VM using code? Like if you use CLI, is that also
Uh I don't think it takes. I think it only takes like about a few minutes, like 5 6 minutes or something. It depends, but it shouldn't take long. But I see that
Oh, it's
it's
completed.
okay now.
All right. I'm gonna get off the stage now.
Yes. Oh, okay. We can. I hope our time permits soon. Let's see. Okay, so I was able to create the virtual machine through Azure. It's a Windows Server server data center. So I will try to connect. There are several ways, but since it's a Windows virtual machine, I will connect using RDP, and I'll choose the that one. I click the connect and choose the RDP, and then download the RDP file. And once it's downloaded, you can click on it and connect with the login information that was used when I set it up. Let's see. That one. EM, name, password. I can allow it. It's the certificate that we usually get when we try to connect to virtual machines. So can you see the virtual machine? I hope. Here is the virtual machine right now. It's running. I'm accessing it from my computer, through this public IP address 168.63.53.243. This is a public IP address, and the public IP address is dynamic. So if you want your public IP address to be permanent, or you don't want it to, public IP address can be changed from time to time. So if you want it saved on your next session when you start your VM, you can choose to save the public IP address, or you can also set up the DNS settings and that. It's more on the networking side, but it's possible to do that. Right now, I'm just showing the basic in remotely accessing the Windows server running on Azure Virtual Machines. So here is the Windows virtual machine right now, Windows 2019 server. Here you can set up your local servers or your roles. And here can you do the PowerShells. And here also from your Windows 2019 data center, you can also remote desktop connection to another virtual machine. So if you want, for example, if you want this machine to be your data center for your SQL server or your data or web server, so you can also have that and then have this machine connect to another. It's like different layers of security. It depends on how you want to design your infrastructure. So I will be disconnecting from this virtual machine, and I will make sure that I will let's see, I will stop it. You can do this one. I will show you how to stop it. So if you decide to do this, continue deploying or doing your development later, you can choose to stop it. And then here is a warning from Azure that public IP address that they use for RDP will be lost if the VM is stopped. And then you have the option to reserve the public IP address. And I don't want to do it right now because this is just for demo purposes. So I'm gonna stop it. All right. So the next demo that I will be doing is how to create the virtual machine in programmatically in .NET Core. So here I have a code. I have my Visual Studio Visual Code where I have a simple .NET console app with program.cs in it. And here I first there are I created a class, like a static class where I set up my default settings or the name of the group, the resource group, the VM name, the VNet name, and the subnet address and the default username and password, public IP address. You can. This is just a simple example, but this could have been coded better. Depending if you do it in production, it is not ideal. Maybe you can probably use. It's good to use better ways like Azure Key Vault to handle your information. But I did set up. You need an app, a properties file that you can put your subscription and client key and tenant ID in your properties. I will be sharing the GitHub repo for this later, but let me see. Let me just continue showing something. So that's one. This one is before I show you the more about the the code in .NET Core in the console app and test deploying it. You can use Visual Studio Code, and to be able to code and deploy VMs, you need to install the OmniSharp extension for C# in Visual Studio Code, and you need to use the Fluent API to do it. And then what I did is that I created an Azure AD and security principle for this, and then I used the command line .NET New Console and installed the Fluent API and created the Azure properties file with my authentication details of the application, Azure AD, and subscription. And let me show you again. So in the program, so I access my credentials using the Azure Auth properties file with my details, credentials, and then I log in and authenticate with my default subscription. And here I created like a stopwatch to know how long did it take for me to create the VM in this simple .NET Core application. And I created a resource first, and then next I created a network, defined my network, and you need in every setup you need to choose the location and the resource group. And here you can choose with subnet mask for the networking. And we also need, after creating the virtual network, we need to create the IP address to be able to access the virtual machine through an a public IP address via RDP. And then also a network security group for securing access to your virtual machine. So this is important because if you skip this, you will be getting errors and you will have access problems. And here I created a network security group to allow port 3389 and then allow RDP. And then I created a network interface for connecting to the virtual network. And I added this one with new primary IP address, and it accepts the public IP address that I set up in my parameters. And then we have the Azure regions, create virtual machines with existing resource group. And here I chose which image I want. For example, I created a Windows server, this data center, and then my admin password. So I will try to run this now, and let's see how long it takes this time. So it's creating network security group, creating network interface card, right now it's creating virtual machine. So that should be the last part. and it should show to us how long it took for my simple console app to create the virtual Windows server. Oh, it's already 5 minutes. I hope I'm not boring everyone in their lunchtime. It should be okay. Maybe we can answer some questions while we're waiting.
Yes, so I'm encouraging our audience to post their questions on the chat box on YouTube and Facebook so we can answer them, and you can get a chance to win some Azugmnl goodies if you ask the best question of the day. Let's give them
So
some time.
I have questions later too. Let's see.
I do have some questions.
Yes.
So while looking at this, right, the whole process of provisioning a VM, it looks like that we also really need to understand the
Mhm.
networking concepts in the
Yeah.
cloud.
Yeah.
And,
Sorry.
and I know that, I mean, even though I don't normally work with networks because we're developers, but if
Yeah.
you want to do this, and not only VMs, you should have some level of understanding about the networking. But can you give us kind of a simple advice on how or where to best learn this? Or how did you do it
Uh,
yourself?
Actually, I'm actually more a code person. So I'm not expert in networking, but I've worked as a technical support, working with public and private IP address and accessing remote desktops or virtual machines. But if the our listeners wants to check out, learn about Azure networking, there is actually a documentation about it in the documentation. There's this one here. There's a documentation called Windows Virtual Machines in Azure, and here you can get the concepts of how networking and all the types here. There are a lot of guides, so you just go to Microsoft documentation and search for Azure Virtual Machine, so you can learn more about the networking part of it. Here, manage networking. So
Thanks. Or you can also go to Microsoft Learn. I normally use that as
yeah,
well.
that's right. I like
Right.
Microsoft Learn. Yeah, it's really good. So I
You get
recommend
the
that too.
hands-on exercises. Yeah, we have a few questions coming in now. So first one, should I just pull this in?
Sure. Let's see.
So can you still restore the allocated VM?
Can you restore? Where is that? It's checking the question. Can you?
It should be on the screen.
There. Can you restore the allocated VM? Yeah, I think you can, as long as it's still in your resource group and you didn't delete the services, you just deallocated it, you can restore it. Um, it's just like deallocating, stopping it. But when you deallocate virtual machines, you don't get charged. It's stopped. You don't get charged for the compute services, but the memory that is attached to your Azure Virtual Machines will still incur you charges. So you can, it's possible, you can restore it. I thought, I see a comment from John, and he said, I thought wet meat meant we enjoy typing.
Yeah, I saw that too. And yeah, that's our job. Typing is our job, except when we're copy pasting.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for that question. And then we have another question
sure.
from someone from Facebook.
Okay.
What is the cheapest VM config that can function as a web server?
Yeah, there's the VM type that can function as a web server was this one that I had in my the VM types that I had presented. Which one was that? This one, the general purpose one, and that can be used for testing and development. So there are different types in the general purpose one. So you just need to select the appropriate one based on the type of processors, the memory, hard disk, and all other things. So for my demo example, I used the standard B1S. So that is not too expensive for demo purposes, for example. So you can check out the Azure VM types, and I can also send the presentation or the documentation later if you want.
Great. And yeah, is it finished?
Done.
Thank you for your question.
Actually, yeah, thank you for your questions. I hope I answered your questions, but it's finished now for a few minutes. So it took 3 minutes for the VM to be started. And to verify that, I need to go to the Azure portal and check on this resource group that I created. And that is the resource group that's named Azure VM Demo. So I'll go to my Azure portal now and choose my resource group, Azure Demo.NET Core. And here was the virtual machine resources that I created. So we have the virtual machine, the disk, the NIC, the VNet, the public IP address, and the network security group, and the public IP address that is used to connect. So if I want to, I won't repeat the process because we have limited time. But if I want to connect the newly created VM that I did through the console app, I can just do the same process as I did earlier when I created it in Azure portal. So that's it. It's beyond time now, but I will hope I have more time to ask some questions to the audience. So to those who need some load right now to SMS their family and friends. So I would like to ask questions, if it's okay. So let's see. Wait, I lost my. Let me start again. Let's see. I was here. So I hope everyone is ready because we will be taking take down notes for those who are first to answer. So let's see. Sorry. But here's my first recommended resources is the Virtual Azure Virtual Machines documentation, Microsoft Learning, and there in the same documentation there's also best practices for auto scaling VMs because it's important to know the basic of auto scaling it because it involves pricing and important things. And I can share to those who want to have my source code, you can go to my GitHub site, just my github.com/my name. I have this repository public, for example. And if you have questions, you can contact me on my email, and I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter. And I want to share this snow that we got yesterday. We got like 20 centimeter snow in our garden. So this is our home in our garden here in Sweden. So I want to give some chillness and coldness to the to our fellow kababayans. I wish we got some sun here. So I envy you to have sun, and I know that you wish you had some coldness there too. But this is how it look. And I want to thank you for your time listening. And here are my questions. So the first one, to answer every question, I will ask one question at a time, and then you have a chance to answer it. Marilog will take note of who is the first to answer. So my first question is, how many VM sizes does Azure have available to choose? Maybe Marla can join in.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
waiting for answers, but so far we don't have any answers yet.
Okay.
Maybe it's
Don't
too
want to.
hard.
Oh,
um,
maybe it's hard, but I actually mentioned it on my presentation, but maybe I missed it because there were a lot of information to take in.
yeah, that's okay. We have a couple of answers, but I think we
What
should
should we
give
do?
thir- we should give 30 seconds for each of the questions. If you don't get an answer, then you can, of course, reveal the answer, and then we'll learn something new. Or
Yeah,
okay.
sure.
So there are a couple of answers. Someone answered six or eight. How many are there?
Should I answer now?
Yeah.
There are actually 122 VM
Oh,
sizes
okay.
available to choose from in Azure. Oh, yeah.
That
Sayang.
is a lot. Yeah, that is a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
100, and it keeps changing, right? That's the case with sizes. So you always
Um,
have to, yeah, be
yeah,
updated on the new features because they change the
yeah.
sizes, they change the provisioning. So
Yes. So you can actually go to the Azure portal, try to create a Azure Virtual Machine, and then when you select VM sizes, you get like a model or a pop-up, and there on the top, there are 122 VM sizes available to choose from, and those sizes are categorized on those six types that I VM types that I shared in my presentation. So there are about 122 as of dates, and I definitely it will be increased after many years. You know, Azure, it's very fast facing technology. So that's why it's really cool to work with Azure because you learn a lot and it's expanding. All
yeah,
right. So next question is, should we go to the next question?
yeah. So again, we have 30
Uh,
seconds to
okay.
answer.
Give two example scenarios why it is good to programmatically deploy Azure virtual machines. I am not counting. Hokan. Yeah, okay. Maybe our audience in the Philippines are eating dinner, or they don't want load. They have a lot of load, or they won't have internet, of course.
Oh, we have one answer already. So, okay.
Yeah,
Um,
that I can accept that answer. That's also that's uh to deploy. That's a good answer because you can choose to deploy VMs if you want to deploy multiple. So that's correct. Congratulations, Mark Samuel.
um, Wait, so yeah, so Mark is the first one to answer, and of course he gave two answers.
Mhm.
Yeah, so to deploy mass number
Yeah,
of VM. Okay, I'll take note of that. Mark, you won a mobile load from Jonah.
yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah. Congrats. Just send me or Marilag your mobile number so we can send you a load. So next question. See. Wait, that's like what is the CLI command for check public IP address list? I showed it on one of my Azure CLI presentation.
While waiting for an answer, I just want to share a fun fact. I actually use the CLI, Azure CLI, to learn. It's my favorite tool. So if
Yeah,
I have an idea and I think, oh, I want to do this in Azure, is it possible? The first thing I check is look at the help in the CLI and find out is there a way to do this and that. And sometimes I find some kind of top secret
yeah,
functionality that I wouldn't be able to see in the UI or not be able to see in the REST API because that's hard to navigate. And then for example, one time I found out that I can allow an Azure function subscribe to an event grid notification using the deployment command for the function in the CLI. So still stuff like that you can
yeah,
discover.
yeah. I'm not an you're I think you're more expert in Azure CLI, but it's one of my New Year's resolution to be expert in Azure CLI, especially that I'm preparing for the Azure certification 204. So it's I heard that it really need to be familiar with PowerShell and Cloud Shell commands for development. So
It's a
great
nifty tool.
tips. Yeah.
We have an answer. Can you show us the correct answer and then we will find out who is the winner
Yeah,
for this
sure.
question.
This is the correct answer. You AC network public IP list, and then you choose your parameters, like if you want resource group subscriptions. That's correct. Who is the first?
We have Glenn Makatangay.
Yeah, congrats, Glenn. You're very expert in. Next,
Yes.
yes,
He
congrats,
knows
Glenn.
it by heart.
Send, send us your mobile number so we can send you a load.
And some spam text.
Oh, Håkan. I know Håkan. I've seen he's from Denmark, right?
Now, I also know Håkan. We met in Denmark, in Copenhagen, 2 years ago. Hi,
Yeah, I
Håkan.
haven't met him, but I've seen his talks. He's also joining our Q&A, even though he probably don't have a Philippine mobile. But great, thank you, Håkan, for being interactive in our chat.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I hope to
Thank
see you
you.
soon after all this lockdown is over because we miss all this live events and you get to meet a lot of really good people working with Azure. So I hope we get to do that very
Uh,
soon. Also, do this in Manila the next time we are there. Oh,
yeah.
someone just passed there. Yeah, he's from Sweden.
Aha, okay.
Okay,
I
yeah.
hope to see you here in Sweden when the lockdown is over to watch your talk live. All right.
All
Thank you so
right,
much.
congratulations, Glenn. I think we're out of time, but there are actually a
Yeah.
lot of questions on chat yet. But maybe Jonah, you can go on the YouTube channel or in Facebook on our Facebook group, and you can answer some of
Yeah.
their questions from there. And then just let me know. You can
Mhm.
pick your favorite question after you've answered all of them, and then let me know, and then we'll try to get in touch with the winner so that we can send the Azugmnl goodies to.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for spending time with us, and I hope you learned something. And if you have questions, you can contact me. And also, we have Microsoft Learn and the Microsoft documentation as a guide. I hope it helps. And thank you so much. You have a good evening there in the Philippines, and thank you so much, Marila, for the opportunity to talk. And looking forward to be here again in a different topic.
Oh, me too. And looking forward to 2021, even though it's been crazy already. It has been a crazy 2020, and 2021 is no less crazier in the first few days. But I'm very positive that we're going to grow this community. And I'm hoping and inviting everyone, each one of you, if you have any topics that you want to share to the community, please get in touch with us so that we can also invite you on stage. And we are thinking if you need help with preparing your talk, if it's the first time for you, we're here also to answer your questions. Write us up in Twitter. We're always there, always, and maybe we can help you get started with being a tech speaker, because it's really fun and it's a good way to both
Yes.
teach others and learn and help our Filipino
Yeah.
community in Azure.
I'm really liking it, and thank you also for Marilyn for the opportunities that I had and when I had the chance to talk to the virtual Azure community day. So I really encourage everyone to get a Filipino developers. So if you have a great skill and if you want to share it to the world, then feel free to just expose it. And we're here, and I'm also doing mentorship. So if there are Filipinas who needs uh just some mentorship, like free, we can talk in free time how it is to work as a developer or Azure stuff, tech stuff. So we can
Mhm.
help each other. Mm.
Yeah.
And also Marilag is also a mentor, I know, and a leader.
Yeah, and I am
Yeah.
actually, I'm not supposed to announce anything yet, but like to give what do you call that, a teaser, I am working with some really great people, also Filipinos, on a new program, on a new organization that can help our young people in the Philippines get
Wow.
started in the cloud. So we are
Yeah.
launching that very soon. So it's
Yeah.
on the works. So I hope you can support that.
You should teach them programming. The
Oh
young
yeah.
ones.
Oh,
All
I would
right.
love that. Yeah. Thank you very much, Jonah, and have a nice day. Have a great day, everyone, and see you next time on our online meetup for Azure User Group Manila. Thank you.
Bye bye. Have a great
Bye.
day. Bye bye.
Thank you.